Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make chicken nuggets inspired by Chick-fil-A. So what you see on my counter is what we're going to use to make these chicken nuggets. And what I tried to do was make something that tasted a lot like Chick-fil-A. Now I like Chick-fil-A chicken, the sandwiches, the nuggets, whatever. It always tastes really good. Problem being is they have a price attached to it, and sometimes it can be quite expensive, especially if you're trying to feed like 2, 3, 4 people. It does ring up there really high. So what we're going to do is make a nugget you can make at home that actually has a really great taste to it, and you can save a lot when you make it at home, because I'm just using 2 chicken breasts, the ingredients you see all around on my counter, and it's really not a lot to actually make some really good chicken nuggets at home. You really don't have to do all that much. So we're going to take our 2 chicken breasts and we're going to trim off any fat that we find on them. Now, with what I'm using here with these 2 chicken breasts, I'm going to get about maybe 24, 25 nuggets out of this when it gets cut up. So that's quite a lot to do. If you want to feed more people and you want more nuggets in this, you want to make a really large platter, you literally just have to double whatever I'm putting into this, and you could be making up to 50 nuggets, which is a lot, and you can feed quite a few people. So as you can see, I slit my chicken breast down the center, and then I'm actually going at an angle across it to make my nugget cuts, which each one of these pieces is going to become a nugget. It's really that simple. And we're just going to go ahead and cut through these until we have them separated up. And as I said, as we're doing this, you're going to get at least 12 nuggets per breast, because I actually cut these at a decent size. There's going to be a decent amount of meat in them. I'm not trying to go like really wafer thin or anything like that. I'm going for a decent amount of meat. But the best thing with these is once you make up these nuggets, literally you could just make some fries or something to go with it, to eat with it, and you've literally got lunch, dinner, or whatever, depending on how you do this. Because I mean, it's not that hard to make these, and it wouldn't be that hard to pair them up with something that you like to eat as well that would go with a nugget. It's really that easy. But go ahead and make sure as you're cutting this that you don't miss any of the fat. We don't want that getting into our nuggets, because that's just going to make the nugget kind of chewy, and we don't really want to go there. And just go ahead and keep slicing until we get these completely sliced through. Now, one thing about these nuggets that is going to give it the flavor that's similar to Chick-fil-A is we're going to actually end up using pickle juice on these. And a lot of people are like, pickle juice. Yes, that's what really gives it a lot of the flavor. And if you have a jar of pickles in your refrigerator, you could easily just get the juice straight from the jar of pickles. I mean, literally, that's what everyone else is doing basically to make theirs. So that's basically what's going to give us a lot of our flavor. And then we have a bunch of other seasoning that's going to go into this that's going to make it really tasty. But as you can see here, I've cut up all my nuggets. I've got the whole bunch there, and I'm going to put them into a bowl. And once they're in there, we're going to add that pickle juice I was talking about, because we want to actually get this in, and we're going to use at least 2 tablespoons of dill pickle juice. And we're going to drizzle this over top of it, and then we're going to mix it up with a spatula, spoon, or whatever, because you want to get that pickle juice completely coating these. And once it's in there, we want this to sit for at least a half an hour before you use it, if not longer. You could basically mix this up, sit it in the fridge, and then bring it back out when you need it. But the pickle juice needs to get into the chicken. It's going to soak into it. It's going to give it that flavor, and that's what we're really aiming for. Now, while it's doing that, we're going to mix up this batter that's going to go on the outside. So we're going to start out with 1 large egg, break open that yolk, and get it mixed up a bit. And then to that, we're adding a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and we're going to mix that up a little bit too to break it up into the egg. Now keep stirring this up until you don't see any lumps from that anymore. And then to this, we are going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt and 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. And then to that, we're adding 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/4 of a teaspoon of paprika. And then on top of that, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. And once this is all in, you need to go ahead and mix it up so that way we can get all this incorporated. And it's really important to stir this until you see that everything is just one consistent color and everything. You don't see anything in there from like maybe the mustard or whatever sticking around in one spot. We want this all incorporated. So if you have to use something like a spatula and get in there and push down at the bottom and totally flatten it out, go for it. And then to this we're adding a half a cup of cornstarch, because that's going to coat our chicken when we're doing our actually pouring this on the outside of it, giving it like its batter. The cornstarch is kind of basically replacing what you would use flour usually. But the best thing about this is when you mix this up, you're going to get this paste. Now if your paste is too stiff, you can add about a tablespoon of milk to this to make sure that it's workable. Then once you get it all done, we're going to dump it over top of the chicken that we had sitting for at least a half an hour or more. You do not drain the pickle juice. We want it to stay in there. And then when we put all of this paste in here, once it gets with the chicken and the pickle juice, it's going to start making this coating that's going to go over all the chicken. So you're going to have to stir this up and make sure that you get it completely coated, because we want to make sure every inch of the chicken is covered. Now, once we get this completely done, we are going to deep fry these, which basically means we're going to need a skillet that basically has enough room in it to fry chicken. But you're going to need at least an inch of an oil in that skillet, and we're going to have to get it up to at least 375 degrees. So as soon as this is mixed up, we're going to move to our pan. I'm using a really large pot to do this in. But one thing about this is when you're going to put the chicken into this, and once you got it up to the 375 degrees, you don't want to overcrowd the chicken nuggets. We don't want them sticking together or cooking together as they're cooking, because that will happen if they're on top of each other. So they can be side by side, but don't layer any over top of each other because they will stick. And once we get these all in here, we're going to let these cook for at least 2 minutes on each side. So we're going to cook it for 2 minutes, flip it, let it cook on the other side for 2 minutes, and then we're going to judge the brownness of it to make sure that we think that it's done enough before we bring it out. Now, once these are cooked and you're bringing them out of the pan that you're cooking them in, you're going to want to put them onto a plate with some paper towel, because you want to absorb some of the oil that's coming off of them, because we don't want them to be totally greasy as they cool. They're going to be a little bit greasy because they were cooked in oil. But now while these are in here, make sure they don't stick to the bottom. So whatever you're using to get them out of the pan with, like I had this strainer dealio that I picked them up with, just move them around a little bit, make sure they're not stuck to the bottom. They shouldn't stick. If you feel that whatever pot you're using or whatever, when you're going to put them in, they're starting to stick to the bottom, as you put the new ones in, hold them on top of the oil a little bit till the bottom sears a little, and then let them go down, and that'll stop it from sticking. So as I said, after about 2 minutes, we're going to flip these and make sure that both sides are getting cooked thoroughly. And as you can see, being that I didn't put that many in here, they're not sticking together, and that's basically what you want. Because once they're stuck together, if you go to pull them apart, you're going to pull the breading off. So once we've gotten to the point that we have had these in here, I left mine in for 2 minutes on each side, plus maybe almost a minute longer to get them a little browner than they were. Then I'm going to bring them out and put them on their paper towel and come back for the next batch. Because as I told you, with me making these, I had like maybe 25, 26 nuggets out of this deal. So when you bring the next lot in, just do the same thing again. Bring them in a little at a time, dropping in one at a time so they don't stick together, and make sure that they're separated and there's oil around them before the next one hits it, because we don't want them sticking together. And you know, usually as long as you keep them to a point where you've got like a half an inch between them, you're good to go. They're not going to stick to anything, and usually they don't stick to the bottom anyway. Like I said, if they do, just hold them above a little bit. And we're going to cook this batch just like we did the first until we get them completely done. And when it's done, it looks something like this. And this is what my tray looked like. And trust me, these things got eaten up really quickly. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website, where you can go on there and get a free recipe, see all the cookbooks that have been released by the Southern Mountain Kitchen, and you can also get a discount on ordering a book and cheaper shipping than if you ordered on Amazon. So it's a great deal. I hope you'll check this out, and I hope you have a great day.